can be upfront and honest and say, actually in this application, I think this product over here that I don't represent would be better for you. That all of a sudden now you become a trusted advisor rather than a salesman.
And I often say that we have all the requirements of space, right? Because it has to go underground and send us data from miles and miles away, and it has to work. Like, failure is not an option.
We'll put on, a standard mule shoe. Ours is slightly different just for that, but it's, everybody's got one.
The top drive and the drawworks really don't care whether the electrons coming at it are from a joystick or a PLC.
The panel, what you see here on the left, which is now controlled by one of my students, is showing you actually the control of our brakes.
As of now, geothermal is a pretty small market.
If you have tortuosity, the casing will be up against the side on part of the well. There won't be any cement there. The cement will have crescent around it.
So managed pressure drilling, it's been defined as a process to precisely control the pressure profile in the wellbore.
The key is being transparent with our clients in this case. So tell them what happened. If we had a failure, tell them exactly what happened. Whether it's our fault, whether it's whatever the issue was, we need to be transparent.
I think it's very important for everyone in the industry to know what's out there and kind of what's happening downhole as well.
I've probably worked on over 40 different performance limiters in my career. If I miss any of those, and the computer is raising weight on bit, and I miss any of those, I have a train wreck. The computer's going in the ocean.
Here's your new colors, here's your new thing. We don't do that at all.
Here's the tattoo you need to get.
Yeah, here's the tattoo. Sorry about the last one. We used to fake that all the time.
And let me know that everything's working right. Wait, is it buffered through? Is everything working? All of a sudden it just caught up. No audio on LinkedIn, no sound. Okay, great. All right. Doing it live. Unmute mic. Oh, hey, I just need to unmute the mic. If 2020 taught me anything, it was to unmute my mic. I didn't do it. All right. Let's start over again. My name is David Gibson, and welcome to the Vidor Locksmith Show. I am happy that you are all here with us today and watching me as I struggle. The show is real. It is happening in real time. We're going to do it live. Thank you all for being here. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll just say this. I don't give up. I don't ever give up. So to my competitors that are out there, if you think you're going to squash me like a little bug, not going to happen. So you can see it right here, real time. This is how it works for me. Okay, everything seems to be working. Lots of comments are coming in. I would say this. If you're telling me that I'm unmuted now, while everybody else is saying they can hear me, it's probably because you're not watching in real time. So, just a thought. Let's see here. I got a text message, and nope, not important. It was about work stuff. Work's not important at all. All right, guys, let us know where you're watching from. Happy to have you guys here. What else? Lots going on this week. Had a really interesting day. I had a great trip to Houston yesterday. Got to see a couple of clients and do some other top secret stuff that I can't talk about, but I wish I could. Don't worry. At some point in time, we will. We've got somebody watching in from Switzerland. Hey, cool. Really wish that whole just saying LinkedIn user thing would go away. It's so much nicer when you can actually put the person's name up there. You're not just a LinkedIn user. You are a friend, and we love having you here. And then it says LinkedIn user from Florida. Derek Boyd tuning in from Odessa, Texas. Justin watching from Calgary. We got Dan tuning in from Germany. How many of the Germany people we got tuning in? Brad Vincent, just talked to those guys yesterday. So happy to have them interested in Gibson Reports, I should say. Amazing company, great group that's doing phenomenal things in our industry right now. We got Brian Dugas down in Bowbridge. You know what, Brian and Brad, if you guys don't know each other, y'all need to link up. Those are two MWD heads that would be awesome to have in the room at the same time. So you guys be sure to link up with each other. Sarah, thanks for being here, sir. Where did it go? Somebody from Aberdeen. Nate LaRue, who was just on the phone with you, was like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, oh, it's 10 a.m. on Friday. What do you think I'm doing? All right. Austin, Randy, I called you back yesterday, man. Sorry I missed your call, man. Had a whole bunch of things going on. Sorry for missing it. Tomorrow, there we go. Hey, so Tamara is not a LinkedIn user. She's Tamara from Florida. Thanks for being here. Yes, sir, from Algeria. Always get a great audience from Algeria. Don't know what it is about there. I guess I need to make a trip. Maybe it's like David Hasselhoff kind of thing where I'm really popular there or something. I'll just hope to think that. Francisco from Italy. All right. I can't say that that's the first from Italy, but we don't see that one very often. Eric from Oklahoma. Thanks for being here, you guys. Another one from Algeria. Duncan from H-Town. Adam from Germany. Wow, even more from Germany. I think it's probably because Paul's in Germany, so he probably just walked down the office and told all the other employees, like, hey, you have to tune in and watch this. So Baker Hughes can be unproductive today. Guys are from Saudi. Man, you guys are staying up late. Romania. Wow, this is such an international show. People are always like, hey, where do people watch from? I'm like, all over. Because the people that watch from Houston, Texas never actually say anything. They never really comment. I'll say that, and then a whole bunch of people will tune in. Isaac from Saudi. You know what I'd really love to do? Anybody that's working in Saudi or service company, whatnot, I would love to be able to interview somebody from Aramco. Drilling automation, drilling technology, drilling optimization. It really could be anything. Just somebody from Aramco want to come on the show. I mean, it'd be really cool. Somebody out there, tag somebody in the comments, tell somebody. Maybe even Paul knows somebody. He's coming on the show here in a minute. The most important person watching today, Daniel Gibson, the co-founder for our company, my business partner, my cousin. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Tell the kids and wife and family, everybody else at your household, hello. Stacy, thanks for being here. India, Graham Mintz of Wilmot. Great guy. We've got some stuff planned with Graham and I. We've got some stuff planned. We'll have some really cool stuff coming out here in the near future. All right. I do need to tell you guys about something. So I've got something very special coming up here in the near future. I am planning on doing a live event and hosting it 100% myself. I'm putting all this on together myself. And so on March 3rd, I am hosting the Rotary Steerables System event. Push it, point it, rotate it. March 3rd at 8 a.m. We're going to have presentations. We're going to have lightning pitches. We're going to have panels. Thank you to Tomax, Cougar, Intech, Scout, Scientific, Sparrow, Schlumberger, Kinetic Upstream, Rival, Wolverine, and CT Energy Services. Their logos haven't made it on there yet. They will be there. And our title sponsor for the event is D-Tech Rotary Steerable Systems. So big thank you to D-Tech Rotary Steerable. Really do appreciate it. So you guys tune into that. I dropped the link in the comments, but I got too much other stuff going on. So if anybody else can, grab the link, put it in the comments. You guys attend it. I really do appreciate it. We're trying to do something completely different than what any industry association, any group, any service company's ever done before. I really want to be able to host the largest oil and gas virtual event ever. And I want you all to be a part of that. So come see it. We have some great technology, some great discussions. 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, March 3rd. So there we go. All right. I also want to say a big thank you for last week. We had a kind of like an impromptu hiring event. We had Amanda Rico come on. Amanda Rico is absolutely amazing. Y'all tag her in the comment section. Let her know we're talking about her. It was absolutely amazing, the amount of feedback that I got after the show, the number of people that were watching it, looking for candidates, the people that were on there being contacted, the people in the comment section were getting job opportunities and stuff. So it's one of those things where I didn't really know how it was going to turn out. I was like, is this going to be good? Is it going to be bad? I don't know. But we just kind of went for it, and it ended up being absolutely phenomenal. So I'm already in the process of trying to be able to put together some kind of plan to be able to do another event like it in the future. And what we'll do is not only will we have people come on and be able to give their elevator pitch, but we're going to have any hiring companies and some recruiters, along with Melanie Woods and Amanda Rico. Once again, tag both of them in the comment section, please. Have them come on and have the candidates give their elevator pitch. Have these hiring companies give their elevator pitch about why people should come work for them, what positions, and what people they're looking for. Just a way to be able to virtually do a hiring event. We're in times where we have to completely rethink how things are being done. And I, for one, am more than happy to experiment and take the risk using my platform to be able to see what can happen. And most importantly, I want to be able to give back to you, the community, all the people that tune into the show, all the people that support this show. The show doesn't make any money. There's no sponsorship or anything like that, but it still means a lot to me, and it means a lot more for me to be able to give back to y'all and to be able to help anybody out there that is looking to be able to get a job and be able to land somewhere. So stay tuned for that. I don't know when it'll be. I'll have to work something out. It might be a Friday. It might be sometime on Wednesday. I don't know. But we will definitely do something here, hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and do another event and hopefully be nice and big. So you guys start preparing for your elevator pitch. All right. So Alyssa tuned in from Brazil. Thank you for being here. Salim, once again, from Algeria. Salim is going to be one of the people that's going to be on that RSS event. So thank you for being here. Johnny is doing absolutely amazing things with Python and putting the stuff out there on LinkedIn. You guys should totally tune in with that. A team says, not possible to have an RSS discussion without Baker Hughes. Really? Well, I'm not going to go there, but I'm going to say this. I emailed and talked to every single RSS company, every single one of them, and all of them have the opportunity to be a part of the show. So this happens every time I host an event. Somebody feels like they got left out. And they go, we were left out. No, you weren't left out. You just didn't respond fast enough. That's all I'm going to say about that, because that stuff gets my drawers in a wad. All right. So we've got an amazing person coming on the show. If I could hire him, I would right now. He's definitely deserving of your time and attention. And this is your 1 minute with Keith.
Thanks, David, for having me on again. Really enjoying this experience. Pretty new to me. In today's ever-changing market, operational experience isn't just what a guy needs. A guy needs to, understand the financial decisions behind all the operational choices as well, how they relate to each other. Financial literacy is becoming more and more important for every role in today's market. The margins have never been tighter. And one example I can think of is when I was area manager for a wireline company. I noticed a $35,000 jump on my P&L statement, quite a big jump, and had to explain this, had to delve into it. We hadn't purchased any new equipment, so there really shouldn't have been any increase. As I was going through the line items, I started noticing things like mud motors, drill collars, other drilling equipment. Came to the conclusion that somehow, some way, that some of the drilling departments or drilling division's equipment was on my P&L statement. I took this to the accounting department and said, hey, someone has screwed up. We got to get this fixed. And got a lot of pushback. First, I got well, that's not possible. That could have never happened. You're not really understanding the statement. And because I actually did understand the statement and showed them what was going on, eventually I was able to convince them to look through the numbers. And sure enough, someone had changed the cost code number along the line, transferring a portion of the drilling division's depreciation to my P&L. Had I not really understood the P&L, I would not have been able to prove or support my position, and I would have been on the hook for the extra cost for my division, therefore kind of taken away from my little piece of the pie for my guys, and you know, not being able to convince my boss I could take care of the business, so to speak. I want to thank David Gibson once again for giving me this platform, giving me the opportunity to throw myself out there to a few more people to kind of demonstrate some of the abilities I would bring to an organization once I was given the opportunity. Thanks, David.
I totally messed up on the button clicking there. Sorry. Kind of left Keith just kind of awkwardly staring at the computer screen. My bad, guys. Sorry about that one. Keith, great job. It's great to be able to hear that. Look, people, I'm trying to be able to help people get hired and get jobs, and I'm so thankful that Keith comes on the show. And I think this is our third Friday doing this, the third Friday to be able to come on. And it was one of those things I just messaged him one day, and I was like, hey, you want to do this thing? And he was like, yeah, sure. All right, let's roll with it. Then we made those little PowerPoint intros. He even posted that on LinkedIn this week. It was kind of cool. All right, guys. We're getting ready to be able to finish up and wrap up season 2 of How It's Done. If you want your company to be a part of this, get in touch with me now. Back with our guest of the day after this break. Paul, thank you for being here on the V-Door Locksmith Show. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic and really excited to be here with you today, Dave.
Excellent. So what time is it in Germany right now?
It is 5:18, and it started snowing this morning, so there's about 4 inches plus on the road, and it looks like it's going to be a cold weekend. So the sled's definitely coming out, and there's going to be a snowball fight.
Awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. Honestly,
we're doing
it does. But I'm a Texas boy, so I'm ready for it to be 100 degrees outside and feel like I'm walking into a blow dryer every time I do anything. So that's my personal opinion. That's what I like to be. Like I said, thank you so much for being here. I really, really do appreciate it. It's the first time we've ever had somebody from one of the big companies come on the show, one of the big 4 service companies come on and talk. So this is something new. Little different for me here. Usually don't do this, but wanted to be able to reach out to you. You had made a post on LinkedIn. This is what kind of started all of this. You guys talking about y'all's viewpoint and then what you guys are doing as far as remote drilling and remote operations going into the future. I would love for you to be able to talk about that, but I just remembered I need you to do your introduction to be able to tell everybody who you are, because
perfect.
I always forget about. I was always like, I know who these people are. I'm just going to jump into the interview, and then I go, oh yeah, they got to tell everybody who you are. So
fantastic.
Do that first, and then that's the question afterwards.
Excellent. So Paul Medeiro, I work for Baker Hughes. I'm the Global Vice President for Drilling Services. I've spent my entire career here at Baker Hughes. Love the people, love the industry, and love what you're doing, David. I think as you mentioned, you kind of reached out through the LinkedIn post and, with a lot of enthusiasm. I watched some of your stuff and I like what you're doing. I think you guys are building something really unique. So when you mentioned an opportunity to talk about our people and our technology, we're like, let's get it done.
Excellent. All right. So tell me, obviously you guys are wanting to be one of the companies that's leading the way in drilling automation, remote operations, autonomous drilling. There's a bunch of different words for it. What is y'all's viewpoint on what's taking place with the rig site right now is in regards to drilling?
Yeah, look, I think for us, we've been involved in remote operating for over 20 years in the North Sea and some of the probably more, challenging environments. And so, 2020 really posed an opportunity for us, as the planes trains and automobiles shut down, the borders came restricted to really, for us, leverage one of these, fantastic technologies we have. So, it's been an interesting journey. And while in 2020, a lot of it was spurned because of business continuity, with many of the wells not being able to be drilled without this technology, produced without this technology. What we found and what our customers have seen, and I think what the industry has recognized is you actually get better outcomes. So for us, the older way of doing things on moving people around, in planes and trains and automobiles, and really leveraging the digital technology that we have available to us, it's been fantastic. And I think just watching 2020 evolve, someone who's very similar to you, who, we grew up with technology, whether it be the Atari, the Sega, the Nintendo or whatnot. And much of our lives today outside of work is lived on the internet and through digital technology. It's great to see. And I think for us, we think as an industry, we need to continue progressing, because there are different energy sources out there, and being efficient and productive is absolutely key. So it's a gateway for us, and so we're excited about what's going on.
So in regards to what you guys believe the future holds, how much of that is something that you guys believe is like the drilling automation side of the equation?
Yeah, I think it's a lot. Look, I think so. Let me give you some numbers to scale and give you some perspective.
I'm an engineer. I like numbers.
We like the numbers. So, in 2019, roughly 50% of all of our drilling globally was done with some sort of remote operating. Today, as we ended the year, it was closer to 90% and continues to grow. Now, when you take a look at remote operating, it's important, right? Because think about when maybe the internet just started out and you used to talk to people about doing online banking. I can remember talking to my father and he'd say, "Oh, I'd never do that. Be careful with that. You're going to put your information out there. It's accessible." The point is, obviously, as we started to live more of our lives on the internet and utilizing it for everyday functionality, it just became part of the fabric. The way we view it is remote ops is the gateway. It opens up all these possibilities to deploy these predictive tools and technologies that really enable, the interventionless, drilling or recognizing stringer detection in advance, because we're seeing specific parameters that really help our humans, really, if you would, our people, to be able to navigate and drill better wells, with higher speed and precision than we've had in the past. So, I think it starts with remote operating, and then it's quickly moving into a lot more of, our iTrack system, which actually leverages a lot of the, deep machine learning to help us predict what's happening and what's coming and make better decisions. Because right now, every single dollar that we spend, that our customers spend, matters. And our ability to really extract that is absolutely key. I think one of the most interesting things is a lot of our records in 2020 was set using remote operating services. So, it's amazing the amount of collaboration you get when you're working remotely, you're working with your customers remotely. As you know, space on a rig is a premium. The real estate is a premium, a little bit less so on land, but more so offshore. So when you're able to collaborate in that fashion, you can set some tremendous records. And those are some of the things you see us post on LinkedIn because we're proud of our people and the customers we work with to be able to deliver that.
So why do you think that is? Do you think it's just a collaboration in the office
I think it
that's allowed to that? Or is there something else that, might be a worthy case study for the industry as a whole for us to learn from, to be able to see, like, this is why we're able to outperform?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's something we frequently get asked. So think about this. You've worked in the field. If you're on a rotation schedule, right, you may go be on a well. Might complete one well. If you're offshore, you're rotating internationally. Maybe you do one well, depending on where you're at. If you're in the U.S. or internationally, one well every month, one well every 2 months. Well, when you're in a remote operating center, your ability to compress that learning curve, because you're going, you can go from well to well. You're getting the same exact person. You're less susceptible to the travel schedules, which we really view as kind of NPT. It's like sending a heart surgeon. You don't want to pay for them while they're flying. You want them to be doing the heart surgery, right? So I think being able to get that volume of learning with the same individuals, and then in these collaboration centers that we have, you don't just have one SME. You're sitting with 5 or 6 of them that are sitting around you. And so your ability to get input from people is tremendous. We set a 2-mile-a-day world record in North America using remote operating services. I mean, 2 miles in a day. I mean, it's pretty significant. And what I can tell you is that's one of many records, whether it's offshore or it's on land, whether it's domestic in the US or international. We see better outcomes. And I think that's the thing that we get excited about, because it's not just about business continuity in this ever changing, a little bit more volatile world, but really the better outcomes we can produce, together with our customers.
So do you think it's just then it happens to be that shorter learning curve that allows it, or would you say it's the shorter learning curve, or just the matter of more people being in the same space at the same time? So you got like a geosteer with a directional driller with, I don't know, company man, or even just a subject matter expert who's, peripherally walking around in the room.
Yeah. Look, I think it's like a great pot of gumbo, right? I think it's probably a little bit of both. I think you're getting a lot more volume for that particular, DDX or MWD, or, and also you're leveraging that collaboration and a much wider audience, access to knowledge and input that you would never get. And so it's not surprising that you would actually drive better results. I think what the significance and the difference and the improvements that we've seen have been tremendous. And, the other flip side of that I really get excited about is, having grown up in this industry and spent time in the field, and on days like this, I'm appreciative of those who are out there working in these conditions, right? But when you start thinking about the sacrifices our field people, our field specialists make, the time away from family, not being able to be on a regular schedule, you miss really important family milestones. And when you're able to work in one of these collaboration centers and you get to sleep in your own bed every night and be with your family, I mean, it's tremendous. It really changes the quality of life. I think everybody always looks at, the field specialists that go out there and they're like, oh, well, you get to travel. And yeah, there is a benefit of traveling, but that comes at great personal sacrifice. And so just watching, that evolution for our teams and our employees to be able to really have a better work-life balance and to be able to be at home, I think that's fantastic. That's really what gets me up in the morning. In general. And, it's always good to be able to financially benefit the company so we can all, prosper with the ecosystem.
So one of the things I want to go back to then is obviously then we're reducing the man count at the rig. We're getting better consistency through people, doing, running, drilling 6 curves in a single hitch, lot more collaboration. One of the things that I'm always interested in then is how do we set up that model as far as being able to train the new individual to be able to come in and fill that remote position. Whereas, before the typical model was like you get hired on, you do a little bit of time in the shop, then you get to go out to the field, you come back to the office, you go to the shop, then you go back to the field again, and then you kind of get put in a rotation or you get put on a rig. now that seems like there's a little bit more of a disconnect there between what's actually taking place at the rig site, where you normally would have been learning and being engrossed in, the atmosphere and the environment of the whole rig. How do you guys go about handling that now as far as training and making sure that there's a good pipeline of talent?
Yeah, David, that's a fantastic question. I do a lot of these, and man, that's a great question. Great question. So, it's the beautiful thing about it is, and this is what I always try to tell people, is that physical on the rig know-how will always matter. That's never not going to matter. And, typically what you see is, this great mix of those who grew up on the rig, who really know the ins and outs, who spent the nights out there, mixing with, some of our newer employees who spent some time out on the rigs, but have been probably more trained in the digital. That mix is tremendous. But you're right. You have to create this entire ecosystem. So a lot of, we get a lot of questions on like, oh yeah, hey, this is, what drove this? Did you guys kind of just flip the technology on? And we're like, no, this requires a whole ecosystem. And your question hits right at that. It's training. So we have the modifier training to where you still obviously have to go out to the field and you have to be signed off and reviewed with an assessor. But I will tell you something that's pretty cool. That I like to demo. I get involved in a lot because I just find it neat. And I grew up in this, Atari, Nintendo kind of era. But we do a lot of virtual online training where basically you're an individual on the rig and you have to walk around, you have to talk to the company man, which actually helps to support that in-person training as well. So you still have to go out to the field. You still have to learn what's taking place because we believe that foundation doesn't change. But we definitely mix in different other aspects of that virtual training world, and then obviously being back in that remote center. So to us, you'll always have to be in physical presence. You'll have to get a taste of that. You'll have to break out. You'll have to be assessed. But we definitely have threaded together a lot more virtual experiences. And I'll tell you, where I've seen us go from even 5, 6, 7 years ago in that virtual experience, which was really kind of a very basic, like yes, no, to where now, the way you can rotate things and some of these virtual realms is tremendous. I'm excited about what we're doing in the training space.
Well, if Skyrim or Cyberpunk 2020 or 2077, whatever the game title is, we'll have that for, going out and training at the rig site. Plus, this is very important to me because if people stop going to the rig site, then the title of my show, The Vidor Locksmith, is going to stop making a lot of sense to people. So there's a certain element of me that's like, I need people to go to the rig. Otherwise, it's just not going to be there. All right. Brad Vincent says he's got a question for Paul. Question for Paul. How do you address the loss of real-time operational status through osmosis, i.e. the sounds of the rig, overhearing a conversation of LCM adding to pill?
Yeah, so I think the way I interpret Brad's question, which I think is a great question, is, hey, look, there's a feel and touch you get from being at the rig that immerses yourself in that environment that you might not get out there. Brad, what I'll tell you is typically, there's a lot of different levels of remote operating, right? Conventionally where you'd send 4 people out, 2 MWD, 2 DD for the 24-hour shift. We typically don't go from 0 to 4. There's a process you go through as you start to kind of, if you would, redistribute that workforce back into these collaboration centers in general. And so as you go through that process, what you find is that learning between the crews and the people back in the remote operating center is still there. And then if you still do have, let's say, half of the crew there still with the other half being supported from the remote, that's where that connectivity takes place. But I can tell you there's a lot of rigs globally where we don't have a directional driller or an MWD on the rig specifically. We have redundancies built in, digital and sometimes physical redundancies to be able to respond to anything that may take place. But there's this belief, so there's a question that comes up a lot, which is, hey, what's the biggest challenge? There's a belief, right? And I think in our industry, it's probably more prevalent than maybe even other industries, that your physical presence somehow gives you some additional superhuman being control. And the truth of the matter is, with technology today, that's just not the case. I mean, look at medicine, for God's sakes, right? And what you're able to do from a operating room standpoint with, 5G and what else is coming. So, I do think, to the question that got asked, you have to be very deliberate. There's a workflow. You can't just turn this technology on overnight because there's some of those intangibles that you have to get right. But we believe, with our 20 years of experience, it's why we believe we lead the industry in this space. We didn't just start it. You got to build the ecosystem, and there's a lot of dynamics that come with it.
So as far as building stuff for the future, obviously you guys have done very well to get to where we are today. What are you looking at as the future of drilling? What technology do you think is on the horizon, or a peripheral technology that could come into oil and gas that's really going to make the difference, 5 to 10 years down the road from now?
Yeah, having grown up in this industry and spent my entire career at Baker Hughes and with the great people of Baker Hughes, man, I love the industry. I love what we do. You've had people on your show talk about, hey, what we deal with are harder challenges than what happens in space, right? 2 miles above Earth, all around Earth, it's pretty much the same. You go 2 miles below the Earth, it's always going to be different, even in the same zip code. So, these challenges, they're unique, they're fun. I look at it as, if you ever get a chance, you go look at some of these videos on YouTube of the old skyscrapers getting built. And you take a look at, what went into it back then, and you take a look at what we do today. Look, I think the future is, why do we need to have people around or on the rig site? Where can we best use those expertise? So to me, it's around how you basically, develop the entire well planning from a digital standpoint. You do it, in the cloud, if you would, right? It's executed. It orders your equipment and material. It goes out there. You have oversight, so you're monitoring. But you've got deep machine learning that's communicating from surface all the way down to the equipment. And that data speed has to be higher. If you want to play Call of Duty online, you better get fiber. The cable internet ain't going to work anymore. So, you really start to think about how you build all of that out, and how that learning, whether it be, reservoir steering, and you do it, automated reservoir steering, or, you start to look at the analytics of stringer detection or optimal, wellbore tripping speed. All of that starts to become automated and completely interconnected and feeding back on itself to help you drill a better well. And look, I look at all of that and I get excited, and because I think there's a lot of opportunity for us in that space, because there are a lot of different emerging energy sources, as there should be. We're excited about that at Baker Hughes because we participate in everything. But at the same time, for our customers, we have to be more productive. We have to be more efficient. That's why for us, these technologies that are coming out, they're not optional. They're a must. We have to move in this space. And just like other technologies that at first maybe kind of we're a bit apprehensive with, the quicker we embrace this, the better off we're going to be. One of the most interesting things I've heard in the last 5 years that really just floored me when I really put into context was, a lot of scientists will talk about there'll be more change in the next 20 years than there were in the previous 100. And you really start letting that marinate. Think about what has been invented the last 100 years. You think about the vaccine, the medical treatments, the lifespan of people, your ability to text from one side of the world to the other. As a young man, both my parents are engineers. So I wanted to be a lawyer, but the expectation was, hey, Paul, you go be an engineer. We lived overseas, and some of the places we lived overseas, they were just getting phone lines as a kid. I grew up in the US, everybody had a phone line. So you start to realize all of these technology and how quickly it's moving. The beautiful thing about the oil and gas space is we're used to change. I mean, if you've been in the oil and gas space for the last 15 years, you've seen more change than, maybe, the previous 50. So, I think we're better suited, quite frankly, than any other industry to really adopt these technologies and move forward.
So you said one of the things in there as far as having higher speed connection. Now, my brain automatically goes to like the MWD side of the equation. Where do you see, as far as data telemetry, how big of a bottleneck or issue do you think that is? Do you think we need to be able to press forward to be able to achieve more there? Do we need to be able to have bi-directional communication?
Yes. I think we get into situations today. I mean, you start thinking about drilling a 2 mile a day well, and you think about, and hey, we're pressing even further than that. So be ready. be ready for that. But you start thinking about your ability to trip versus, multi-pulse telemetry and some of the conventional telemetry. There is a huge amount of opportunity for that. And listen, I know, because, obviously we speak a lot internally and externally to our customers. There's always a lot of strong opinions on that. But, what I'll tell you is this will evolve. Will it evolve as dramatically as, some people think? Hey, it could. But like the seatbelt, it's changed. The seatbelt has changed over the last 20, 25, 30 years. There's a lot of smarts in it. But in order to really unlock the potential of automated drilling, really predictive drilling, to be able to land the wellbore, with more precision, which directly relates to production, that is going to continue to advance. I think there's always going to be space for the conventional, systems, but that's going to continue to be more and more important as we move forward.
So do you think there's an opportunity there for, startup companies to be able to get into that space? Or do you think it's going to be the majors that lead the way in being able to do that communication?
I think there's room for everybody, quite frankly. And we at Baker Hughes, we like partnering. And so obviously we can't get into all the specifics, but, we actively partner with different partners out there that provide different types of technology and are working on different type of technology in general. But I think from the small startups with the ability for them to move with speed, one person can make the decision, the investment decision and the approval decision, to even some of the
trust me, I know how that works.
You cut the check.
I don't ask anybody anything. The only time I'm asking people questions is on Friday.
Fridays are a good day. But you're right. But I also think this is always the conundrum between large company versus small company. Large company, great experience, deep experience, large data set. Small company can move with speed, quick decision making and things of that nature. But I think that whole spectrum there, probably, I think as we move forward, is probably one of the bigger opportunities from a drilling space as we move forward. Because without your ability to really be able to communicate with that higher resolution, with more speed, you're really going to start to limit yourself. And for us, that's why we made a big, kind of push on the Lucida launch and with the ability it has. Because, if you really want to be able to take advantage of the downhole tools and the measurements that you're taking at the highest rate possible and really take advantage of that, you gotta have the communication built in.
So with that, do you think that as we go forward in the future that there's going to need to be more vertical integration with the rig itself, or partnering with the rig providers to be able to make sure that, drilling decisions at surface are matching up with what the tools and equipment downhole need?
Yeah, I 100%. I think it's it's a process. I think first you dabble into the internet at your house and you get the Wi-Fi, and then you like it so much you connect it to your sprinkler system, and then at some point your home is a fully smart home, because that ultimately allows you to leverage that full digital package in that ecosystem. So yeah, 100%. I think there's depending on where you go out in the world and depending on the customer, there's different levels in integration. But at the same time, our belief is, you can't force customers or the industry to say you have to take the whole thing. Our belief is, you have to have really strong user interface, good customer experience. And there's some great rig providers out there that do what they do very well. So our goal is really, how do you partner with them better? How do you create a language and architecture that allows you to really kind of, be able to leverage, what they do best while still, doing what we do best.
So we have a question here from Scott. Scott says, how do you see 5G networks playing their part in transferring real-time data? Has this been tested? Is there any lag?
Yeah, so I can't get into a lot of details, which is probably...
Tell us everything you're not supposed to.
Yeah. But what I can tell you is, look, what I will say, Scott, and it's a fantastic question. We remain very excited about what 5G brings and the capabilities it's going to unlock. you know, when you start going internationally and you start thinking about some of the restrictions and data and your ability to communicate from the rig back to onshore land, these collaboration centers, you know, having these multiple methods of communication are extremely important. The preciseness and the reliability is important. And I think 5G really opens up a completely new space for us as an industry.
Excellent. Hey, guys, be sure if you've got questions, be able to throw them out there. If you type in question for Paul and then you press enter, it's going to send it. So Scott just sent one, and then you got to type it in again. So, guys, if you got any questions, please be sure to send them over. I got a question. So, obviously, Baker Hughes and yourself, you guys are doing a lot of work internationally, all over the world. What area or what countries or what places, what operators do you see that are most willing to be able to change and push the envelope of accepting new technology and new methodologies the fastest?
Yeah, look, I think it's I think it really just depends on where you're at. You know, I think what I'll tell you is maybe in a remote ops space, you know, I think initially we saw a lot of the IOCs really jump on board earlier, you know, from an adoption standpoint. But as we've moved through the last year and a half, we've really seen the NOCs kind of take off.
IOC being International Oil
Company, and then
NOC being National Oil Companies or government run. Try to limit the three-letter acronyms. So everybody.
No, hey, I appreciate it, and I'm always reminded of that, and I always make that mistake. So I appreciate the phone a friend. But yeah, so I think, you know, it's different phases, but you know, I'll tell you, obviously, you know, typically what you find is the smaller, more compact companies that, you know, kind of want to move, have a vision, they move with speed, and then some of the larger ones move with scale. So, you know, it's a different approach depending on who you're with. But I think the thing I would say is, you know, in 2019, we were really pushing and trying to really show the technical expertise, the capabilities, and the history of remote ops and all the digital tools that came with it. In 2020, we were getting a lot of the phone calls, which is great from a sales position, as you know, to be able to sit there. So I think as that shifted and our customers realized that they needed for business continuities, and then they saw the benefit of the better outcomes, you know, that shifting has been tremendous. And so I think from an industry standpoint, we hit a tipping point in 2020 as really our customers in the industry realized what our capabilities are. And it's a great thing that we can activate, because we're not moving into a world that's any less volatile. You know, quite frankly, one could argue it's more volatile because, you know, as borders continue to shut down and open up, and hey, I'm looking forward to being on the list.
Wall Street bets and GameStop stock. Volatility in the market.
What a wild deal. What a wild deal.
I am so glad I stay up to date on that forum. And I was like, yeah, I'll throw a couple of bucks into it. We'll see what happens. And then I log in the next day and I'm like, there's money in my account. Or at least there's you know, the stock's worth, well, I shouldn't say there's money in my account. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's a lot more money in my account this morning than when I went to sleep, which is always a good thing, right?
Yeah.
It's always a good thing.
I'm really curious, and I would love to be able to ask the people that work at GameStop, like, you know, mid-level management people that, you know, like yourself, somebody's been at a company for 20 years, right? And then they see all this going on and they're like,
Well, if they have stocks or any type of you know, investment in the company, I'm sure they're probably hopefully maybe they sold. I don't know if that's the right thing for them, but to see the way the price move was pretty tremendous.
All right, so I got a question here from Mr. Scott Vinoy. It's kind of a long one, so it's going to cover up our faces here, but question for Paul. I firmly believe SLB has established a new business model for RSS in U.S. land, with understanding that smaller directional providers can provide services in a more economical, efficient manner than larger providers in U.S. land specifically. So is Baker going to move into this realm in the near future, renting their ATK, I'm guessing that's Auto Track, as has been up for debate over the last year or plus? If no, why not? If so, will Baker ever offer more than a tool with a very limited capabilities? So the ATK, and then it went too long. So
it's good. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate your question. Well, first off, let me just say this: I'm proud that the people at Baker Hughes invented the first rotary steerable system. So, you know, we feel very proud of that. That's something, you know, we wake up and go to sleep.
Shameless plug.
Yes, please. And so, what I'll tell you is internationally, we've already adopted that model. We adopted that model a long time ago. And in North America, we look at a bunch of different commercial models. We don't believe one size fits all. It's got to be the right opportunity. But as far as flexibility and what we're able to do, if it makes sense for us and for our customers, we have a strong partner there, we'll definitely partner. And we do that internationally quite a bit, and to great success, we believe.
So what do you think about that? So, Nigeria not too long ago came out with their local content. King of Saudi Arabia, they had come out with some stuff that was supposed to be I think completely done by 2020, where they're trying to be able to get more localized service companies. Obviously here in the US, we've got a lot of independent operators, independent oil and gas companies, and then we've got a lot of independent oil field service companies. How do you guys go about addressing that situation when you see other countries around the world want to be able to start developing, more of a local infrastructure, as opposed to, always having only, 2 or 3 or 4 choices? What's y'all's viewpoint on that?
We love it. Honestly, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that the communities we work in all over the world, and the countries we work in, they're representative of that country, of the people who work in that country. Something we're proud of is, diversity and inclusion matters to us. And we've been actively moving in that space for a very long time. And so, when we see opportunities, whether it be with our customers who want to move more in that direction, or there's partners out there, we love partnering up. Who better to serve the local markets than those small companies that may be in some of those markets. So for us, we welcome it. It's something that we proactively move forward in. And it's something we feel like we've been extremely successful in. It's something we're going to continue to be in. And I think that's for us. That's why the model is so important. For us, we have a very flexible commercial model, and ultimately we want to enrich the communities we work in. So, having grown up I'm first generation born in the US. My family's from South America. We lived overseas when I was young. I've always worked and lived in Asia. I think the best thing we can always do is ensure, that we're leaving every place we work in better than when we got there. And, that localization piece is a key aspect of doing that.
Excellent. So we got a couple of questions that have started to pile up here. Not that I'm ignoring you guys or anything like that, but we've got some stuff coming in here. So
any Super Bowl questions, David? We got to get those to the top.
I'm going to tell you this. I haven't watched a lick of football in 3 years. I started my own company, and then so
no extracurricular activities.
So my question for you then is, if you guys like partnering with locals, you all got this Baker Hughes rig report thing. I've got this thing called Gibson reports. It's all over the screen here. We could do something together. I got some ideas.
Okay. We should talk about it.
Just letting you know. Okay. So Daniel Robson says, question for Paul. Or Paul. Missed the L there. No big deal. How do you see the future of wired drill pipe?
Yeah. David, I've been called much worse than that. So you can call me anything. Look, I think, we think wired drill pipe, has some of its benefits. We like in general, we believe acoustic telemetry is something that has the potential to really unlock a lot more than what I think is available today. Again, it kind of goes back to the telemetry question we were talking about. So, we think there's a place for wired drill pipe. We think there's applications. What we've really started to invest in, we made some acquisitions around our exact acoustic telemetry system. We see a lot of benefits integrating that into what we do from a drilling standpoint. The ability to really get the data down, where we typically can't always get to. So it's something that we're really progressing, something we're proud of, not something I can, go into a lot of great detail on, just because obviously, we're excited about the direction we're headed in, but it's definitely something that I would recommend people to keep their eye on. We think there's something unique there.
Yeah. Somebody did ask, what's the difference between iTrack and AutoTrack Exact?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So AutoTrack is our
It's a great question because it gives you the chance to talk about your tools.
Yeah. That's probably my mom. I asked her to ask that question. It's on my list of questions on my papers.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just kidding. Not really. But so AutoTrack's the physical tool. That's ultimately what we deploy. That's what that's the first rotary steerable system. That's what we talk about. iTrack is the software. That's the interventionist piece of it. That's if you guys had a chance, the World Oil Awards, iTrack was awarded the best digital technology in 2020. So that's kind of the digital aspect of everything we do, from automated trajectory drilling, which you may have seen we did back in October 2019, where we drilled human interventionless well in the North Sea, and we've obviously continued to do more and more of that all over the world. So that's the difference. iTrack, digital platform, AutoTrack Curve is the physical tools.
So here's the one from Derek. At what point is a boundary drawn with this amazing tech to limit the reduction of human labor? The demand will always ask for more, but do you see any danger in overutilizing tech and AI? Very deep question.
It's good. See, and he's asking, and I'm a big sci-fi person in general, right? And so it's an interesting question. Look, I think I do think there's a balance for sure. I think we believe there's a balance. It's for those of you who have Teslas or ventured into the Tesla. I got my young twin cousins. She just got out of school and bought a car. You know how it is. You're working, you finally start making some real money, and she went and bought a Tesla. Of course, I gave her a bit of a hard time, but the automated feature there, you can do the self-driving, but you have to have your hands on the wheel, and if you don't, it triggers some safety system. And I think that's the way I really kind of think about what we're doing is, look, there's you can automate tasks that really that humans typically did and that we did that maybe weren't as value added. But ultimately, I think you always still need that human brain power in general, and that oversight and that deep learning and understanding. Is there a lot more efficiencies to be had? Definitely. I don't think we're close to reaching that point. But I think that marriage is always going to have to be there. And I hope it always remains there.
So here's a great one. So this is from a friend of mine, Dan Cervantes, who's been on the show before.
Fantastic.
If you haven't seen Dan's presentation from Lodestar International, y'all need to go check it out. Lots of education in that one. Lots of education. It was really partial for me because I used to work there and I really enjoyed it. So question for Paul. With more bandwidth and downhole telemetry, one of the bottlenecks I see is who is going to look at all of this data? How's Baker planning on handling this? And I, for one, can attest to this. Like, I have given lots of presentations, I've given a lot of data over to clients, and then come back to them and they're like, oh, I never even looked at that email. I was like, it was a 30-second video. Right? So it wasn't like a data dump. It was just a 30-second video, like an animation of what took place down hole. Is this something that's on y'all's agenda? Is it in your mind? Is this something that you guys are addressing?
Oh yeah, 100%. If you go back a couple years back, we made the acquisition or the joint venture, if you would, with C3 AI, which is heavily invested in kind of the autonomous space, that deep machine learning, and we're applying a lot of that technology today to be able to do that data curation, to be able to package the data up, to be able to quickly go through it and identify kind of those key proxies. So it's a huge piece of it, because that's exactly right. Now I'm capturing all this data resolution, the clarity, the granularity is so much who actually goes through it. And so that's where we see a lot of value in some of the digital tools that we have and the partnerships that we've actually forged and created. So, it's the ecosystem, because if you don't have it all tied together and the capabilities and the bandwidth and the critical path is not set up the right way, you really, we believe you leave value on the table. And so.
All right. So Nazar has a question here. Drilling services have been advanced way better, But in terms of how fast we complete a well nowadays, does Paul see a huge gap in wells delivery from spud to completions? Are we going to see faster drilling any soon?
Okay. So the way I interpret that question is, one, hey, we're drilling faster, but the completions haven't really made as big of a leap. And then moving forward, are we going to see it? So, interestingly enough, I started my career in research and development and spent some time of my career in completion. So I can remember early on in the Barnett Shell days, when we were, adamantly deploying plug and perf, and it was a bit more unique. And then, Fayetteville Shell, and it started moving around, and now obviously everybody knows about plug and perf. But we felt really good about kind of that ball drop system, the frac points of the world, your ability to get up into a well and off a well in less than 24 hours. And obviously some of the industry shifted away from that back to plug and perf because of your ability to get your fracture out and get your production in. So I think there's still a lot more opportunity there. Especially when you consider the large size fracs we have moved to over the last 10, 15 years. So I still think there's some opportunity there and how we can do that. I do think, the industry has worked pretty hard on that, but it still requires, it still makes up a significant piece of time for the total well delivery. As far as speed and drilling, what I can say is, up until 2020, we hadn't done a 2 mile a day well. I can tell you that in pretty much, the majority of all the basins we work in globally, we continuously are resetting that record. And a lot of that is because we're implementing a lot of this technology, which, is implementing some of this deep machine learning, making real-time adjustments and predictive analytics. So, the more, I think, consistent line you can drill when you can place it, as per plan, and there's no, as one of my first mentors in the Barnett said, whoop-de-doos, and you can drill like you want to, that's all time savings. And so we think there's still a lot more to unlock there. And from a, ROP and a well placement standpoint, I think it's exciting future for all of us in the industry.
I definitely think so as well. Hey guys, if you guys got any more questions, be sure to throw them out there. Happy, you getting the chance here to be able, you can be the person doing the interview, right? So, and also ask everybody, please share this. If you're watching on YouTube, which I think there's like 10 people watching on YouTube, or everybody that's here on LinkedIn, go watch over on YouTube for just a second and then hit the follow button. That's all I'm asking. Trying to get over 1,000 so we can do a really cool live stream. That's all I'm asking for. We appreciate it. I've got a super secret project thing, and I haven't told anybody about it except for my mom because she's the videographer. But like, I'm trying to, it's one of those rules with YouTube. So with what you guys are doing at Baker Hughes, you guys have got a lot of new technology coming, or that you guys are looking at. You're looking at things from multiple different perspectives. What other areas and what other things do you think are just out there in the peripheral that you think might be able to do well here in the oil and gas industry?
Yeah, that's a good question. And there's so much out there. I think the thing that's unique about Baker Hughes and having, kind of lived through with the company over the last 16 years and watched, kind of the oil and gas piece come together with the Baker Hughes and, our ability to leverage the turbo machinery side of the business and, the digital solution side of the business, which far extends into, iPhone, different other industries, on, monitoring and being able to do inspection technologies. I think what we see is it's kind of interesting. We obviously, because we have this whole ecosystem that covers really oil and gas and outside of oil and gas, we have direct access to all those technologies. So we kind of eat what we make. So, when that goes to, if you take a look at even some of the measurement and control devices, we actually insource that from our digital solutions business unit, which was kind of formed as part of the new Baker Hughes. So, I think for us, it's probably leveraging some of those technologies, the turbo machinery technology, because there's a lot there that they've been able to develop, quite frankly, that has really kind of come into the oil field server space, and vice versa, same thing. So I think the biggest thing I would just say as we move forward is really around it's that digital aspect. And I know the word gets overused in general, but the beautiful thing about being in a company like Baker Hughes for us is you've got the oil field server space and the digital journey. You've got this digital solution space, and they work in the industry of multiple global industries outside of oil and gas. And then you got this turbo machinery space. Our ability to leverage that, to share the knowledge, and to really build off of the past history, it really puts us in a good situation. So I think for me, it's really goes back to the digital piece.
Excellent. So tell me a little bit about, obviously, y'all changed y'all's colors to green, changed your logo to like a paperclip thing. Won't get into that. But what are you guys doing in the geothermal space? That's become a very hot topic that people are talking about a lot. Are you guys trying to push the envelope as far as what temperature your tools can handle? And then what else is involved there that you guys may be involved with?
Yeah, I think geothermal is a great point. We've been active in the geothermal space from an oil field services sector for a very long time, and our ability to actually generate electricity. We're uniquely positioned, with our compressor technology in Baker Hughes to be able to really kind of be able to bring a full and total solution. So we're extremely active in projects all over the world, in Asia, Turkey, and many others. And so, yeah, we do feel like we're uniquely positioned. And we think there's, I think there's this viewpoint of, well, hey, it's oil and gas. Well, as you mentioned, we're in geothermal. We do a lot of gas storage wells. We're participating in a lot of these other different segments where our technology is really useful and available. And so, look, for us, we believe in energy forward, and that's kind of what you're seeing. We've made commitments on carbon reduction because we want to be safer and cleaner, and we want to do a better job taking care of this planet. And we don't think those are mutually exclusive. We think you can do both. We think you can help move the industry forward and be a great partner with our customers, and you can make the world a little bit a better place if you'll allow me every single day. And technology is the key to doing that. Which is interesting is if you take a look at remote ops, and you take a look at the thousands of miles we have eliminated for transporting people and the carbon impact that would have had in the carbon reduction, all of these technologies help in that space. So we're excited about the direction we're headed. And I'm proud to work for a company, that puts out our commitments out there in the forefront. I've got kids, I got a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old. And they ask me some of the harder questions I get. And they're growing up in a world where they're very sensitive to the natural ecosystem that we live in and the planet we live in. So, trust me, there's a lot more hard conversations that happen back at the dinner table at the Madero household. So
just want to put this up there. Scott says that was punny, David Gibson. Geothermal getting hot. Okay. I do also want to put it up here. Somebody talking about DSATs. So we have the Drilling System Automation Technical Section from SPE. It's a group that I'm a part of. I'm the subcommittee chairman for the Open API software. Be sure, if you're interested in drilling automations, be sure to check that out. And then I know that this had to have been John DeWart that said this. He was talking to somebody else, the DSAroadmap.org and the DSABOC.org. So be sure to go and check those out. So one last question we got here for you. Let's see, where did it go? Andres says, question for Paul. How far away do you think we are from programming a well plan on a RSS and letting it take on its own?
Letting it take on its own.
So look, program it in and then just let it rip.
Yeah, look, I think you're always going to have that back and forth communication. But if you take a look at our AdTrack platform, that's ultimately what it does. It creates a closed loop system where, it will automatically make the adjustments and requires no human intervention, just human oversight. And so we're doing some of that today. We're in the process of scaling that technology up. I think the future's bright for automation. And I think the cool thing about it is when you're able to place these wellbores with more precision and you're able to exceed the ROP targets, and we can come in under AFE, that's just more work for all of us. You know, that's less money spent per well for our customers. That allows them to develop wells, you know, fields and reservoirs faster. And that means there's more work for all of us to do. And so we're committed to that journey.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for coming on the show. Any last words you would like to share with everybody else?
So, you know, I think what I would say is first, I appreciate the time, David. You know, I think thanks for reaching out. I love what you're doing. I'm going to tune in next Friday. You've got a fan here.
Got to promote the show before Thursdays, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So, you know, I think what I would just say is, hey, I think the future's bright. You know, we're excited about what we're doing as an industry. I think this is a fantastic industry to be involved in. We're excited about what the people at Baker Hughes are delivering and developing every single day. And, you know, I think we're trying to develop things that haven't been invented. And we're excited about what the future holds for all of us. Appreciate the time.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it. Thank you, all you guys out there that are watching. One last time, I've got to do my own little shameless plug here. Rotary Steerable event, March 3rd. Get involved. It's going to be amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, where else can you get all of this information about so many different rotary steerable companies in one place? Thanks to everybody out there that is watching. We really do appreciate it. Brent Vincent says, thanks, Paul and David. Great show. Great interview, Paul. LinkedIn user. I don't know who it is, but I appreciate you guys. Thanks, you guys, for being here. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week. I haven't posted this anywhere, but the Canadian Association of Oil Drilling Contractors, CAODC, just created a new directional drilling association group thing. I haven't researched it all. I've been really, really, really busy, but we should have the president from the CAODC on and potentially two CEOs from two of the directional drilling companies that are located up in Canada that are going to come on and talk about what it is, why it's important, and what they plan on doing in the future. So be sure to tune into that. The week after that, I'm not sure. April 1st, special announcement. Luis Gonzalez from Merlin ERD is going to come on, and we're going to do our first show 100% in Spanish. I am going to test my Spanish skills to the absolute limit. So we look forward to you guys being here for that one. Until next time, Brad Vincent says, guys, wash your hands. Greg says, thank you. Appreciate all you guys out there watching. Stay tuned for more. Like, share, subscribe, do all those nonsense social media things. And until then, guys, know your industry. Oh, and I forgot it again. I didn't have the button queued up. Almost just ended the show. Here we go.